This is cool. You can see the bees coming in to get into these two hives that I have on a farm. And as we walk in closer, right there, boom, right now, it's just full of a perfume. And here it is from the other angle. They're coming in. See that? They're going whoosh, whoosh. And they're going whoa. Let's do that again. So here they're coming in. So they're coming in from this way. And I'm standing in the way. And then they're up there. And then here they come. And there they are. It's I know you can put platforms for them to land on, but I don't think it makes a huge difference, does it really? So it's overcast and it's cloudy. Well, it's the same as overcast, I guess, but and it's getting muggy and it feels like there's rain maybe on the way. And it's about 5 o'clock right now, and I think all the bees are coming home to roost, so to speak. They know trouble's coming, and they're getting back into the hive as quick as they can. Oh, you can really smell the perfume, the nectar. So this is a 5 medium hive, and it used to be 6 because earlier in the season the bees were just exploding, but then they just sort of seemed to peter off. I don't know what happened. And so I removed the 6th super a couple of weeks ago, I think. And if I'm lucky, I hope to get 2 mediums out of this. And I'll leave 3 mediums for the bees, which is equivalent to about 2 deeps. I could add another medium, but I'd rather just give them as much honey of their own honey. I could basically harvest more honey, but I'm not in it for the money, and I really love when the bees get through the winter on their own honey. It's satisfying, and I think they do better just living off their own honey, because I'm pretty sure honey is an excellent insulator, better than styrofoam and everything else. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 supers on it. So it's got this is the brood box down here. That's 3 mediums. So I got 1, 2 mediums, and then 2 more shallows. And I might take off one of those shallows, but we'll see. So I'm going to check on them today. I don't have any gloves. All I have is a hive tool. I don't have a smoker, nothing. And I'm just going to check to see if they're going to let me check on them. And I just want to see if they're running out of space, if I need to remove these supers, because it's September now and I don't want to fart around with them. I just want them to make as much honey as quickly as possible. I want to get this honey off them as quickly as possible so that they can make honey for themselves going into the winter. And I don't have to feed them, because although I don't think there's anything wrong with feeding them, I hate feeding them. I hate wrapping them. I hate feeding them. I hate all that winter garbage. So I just took the top off of this hive, and you can see these are all drones. The drones, they're not. Did you see that? Look, there's an earwig in there. Anyhow, you can see these are mostly drones that are just sort of milling about. I think they haven't been expelled from the hive, but they're definitely getting pushed away from the brood nest and everything else. Look at that! Look at this! Look at that earwig. And this is just old comb from when this inner cover was flipped the other way. So I'm looking down at these frames, and it doesn't look promising. There's a little bit of bulging honey, but not a lot. So it makes me think that they're really not making much honey. If I lift this box off and it's light, I will come back as soon as I can, and I will probably put an escape board on them just to get rid of, and maybe knock these two shallows, just rearrange the frames and knock it down to one shallow, because I don't want them working on stuff that if they're not going to make honey out of this, I'm not going to give them the space for it. Okay, this shot's going to be out of focus, but tough luck. Maybe it'll get in focus once I pull the frame up. Come on, baby. All right. So I pulled off the first shallow, and it was heavy. It wasn't really heavy, but it was definitely getting heavy. Here's a frame. That's drawn comb. So that's looking pretty good. There's a little bit of uncapped bit right there, but it's on the way. Okay, that's capped. That's capped. So it's not super thick. Okay, here we go. Come on, you bugger. Whoops. Lots of drones. Probably getting fed all my honey. But so this one's on the edge, and it hasn't been capped, but they're getting there. Oh man, it's just full of drones. So this is looking really good. I'm pleased with this. Yeah, it's really nice. The bees are nice. They're not being defensive yet. So this is a foundationless frame, and it's got a little bit of a portion of it right there that's not done yet. That's interesting too. It's this here portion is not being capped, and you can't see it, but there's a hole that I've got drilled in the super, and they're not capping it right next to that hole. And I've read that's from I've heard from a beekeeper who said that they that he doesn't use holes in his supers because the bees don't cap honey next to it. And in this hive anyway, it looks like that's true. I gotta say about the hole thing, even though I've got a lot of holes in my supers now. See again, this one's next to a hole, and it's not capped next to the hole. So there might be something to that. So I may not stick with this hole in the super thing. Now maybe I'll do it in the in brood boxes, but for honey supers, maybe not. No, see, this is different though. Look, this one isn't capped on this end, and there's no hole on that end. So there goes that theory. So I'm back to the top box now. I was looking, the previous shots were from the second top box, and on the side, on the edge of it, there's a frame that doesn't have anything in it. So what I'm going to do is any frames like that, I'm going to put them closer to the middle, because they do tend to fill up the middle boxes, the middle frames first, and I'm going to put all the cap stuff on the side. I don't know if it makes really any difference, but they do seem to fill it up from the middle first, so I'm just going to put it in the middle. Okay, I'm really pleased with what I found here. I looked into the top two shallows. This one is basically full. There's a couple of frames that need to be capped, and I put those towards the middle of the box. I assume that if this one is full, then these bottom two mediums are in the same kind of shape. And this top box, it's getting close. So I think if I could give them another week or 2 weeks, they're going to be good. That's going to be good to go. And I'm going to get 2 supers and 2 mediums out of this, which is, it's not bad for this location. And for the weird summer we've had, I'm impressed. And this queen that's one of my older queens. Like most of my queens are pretty old now, and she's doing good. Really pleased. And they're not trying to sting me. They're not doing anything funky like that, like they sometimes get in the fall. There must be a lot of resources still on the go in this area, and I kind of get the feeling there is, just from the smell of the nectar that I'm smelling here. There must be a lot of nectar coming in. So I'm happy. Very good. Hive number 14. Looking good, buddy. And just to show the setup of this hive, it's a standard Langstroth hive with the big wide open bottom and all that jazz. It's all mediums, and it's got an inner cover, a normal inner cover with a notched entrance. Whoops, notched entrance right there, just squished a bee. And it's got a ventilation rim up top, and a standard telescoping top cover on top of it, and that's it. And this is what I had on this hive all winter, all last winter. No insulation at all, exactly like it is right now. And they did fine. Really, really nice. I know it. You might get bigger clusters in the spring if you wrap them, but they also probably eat more honey then, and you better know you got to make sure you got more honey that way. And for hobbyist beekeepers, I think this might be the way to go, because if you don't want to deal with swarmy hives and hives you got to split all the time just to stay ahead of them, don't wrap them. Just let them, as long as they got some good ventilation, you got some mesh on the bottom to keep shrews and mice out of the way. Maybe that's the way to go. It seems to be working okay for me, and we'll see how it is. But anyway, this baby's I'm really happy with this colony. I think it's a 3 or 4 year old queen, and she's making 2 mediums and 2 shallows for me right now without a lot of maintenance or farting around. So I'm pretty happy with the way this is working out. So this is the second hive that I have on the farm, and they're definitely crowding up here a bit. And I really should have some mesh over the inner cover so they can't come up here, but whatever, no big deal. It's not killing them. And it's basically the same setup as this hive over here, except it's got an inner cover. It's got a ventilation rim, and this one happens to have a standard DE hive, but I don't know if you really need that. I think the inner cover, the ventilation rim is the main thing. And just before I dig into this hive, these bees can be a little bit testy, so if they start stinging my hands, which they easily could do, I'm out. And so the first thing I see is there are a lot of bees, to use my proper grammar here, and but I'm not seeing a lot of honey bulging out. And honestly, I don't think I might not fart around with them. I got some bees landing on me here, and they're cool. Like, they're not trying to sting me. But that could easily change. And honestly, it feels like there's going to be a thunderstorm or something any minute now. And if they sense that, they're going to say, "Get out of the way, human! Don't be here." Yeah, I can see even this frame here is. Oh yeah. It's not drawn comb, or they haven't drawn the comb out on it. And I've got some drawn comb at home that I might be able, we'll see. And here's a little something too. When you first learn how to keep bees, you're taught to just pull out this frame and then work your way in. But after a while, when you've got more than one hive, you just want to get down to business and get down to it. You can just. And I wouldn't recommend this for anyone starting out, but people who've been around a while, I think this is pretty safe to do. You just get into the middle of the brood box, or this is a honey box, and you just pry off the middle frame, right? And there's plenty of space to pull that up without rolling any bees. So let's see what we find. Now, see that? They're bringing in, see, this is the same thing I noticed last time. These bees, the last time I was here, were not really doing a lot. They seem to have slowed down. And I can tell just by that one frame. I don't need to look at the rest of them. So it's 5:15 now, and I don't know what time it was when I came here. But I can already tell you that there's hardly any bees flying in now. So now must be the time that they like to get home and settle in for the night. It's just a different world now. It's just there's hardly any bees. There's some bees coming in, obviously, a few stragglers, but it's not it's not a big traffic jam like it was earlier. Oh, look, I'll see if I can just get a beat and just fly right into the camera. No, I'm just getting in their way. Anyway, that was it. So that's turned out to be one of my better colonies this summer. It's been a really weird summer. My colonies in Flat Rock, I'm lucky. I think I'll get, at the most, I think I'm going to get 2 honey supers out of 2 hives, like one super each. And this one's giving me 4. Well, 2 mediums and 2 shallows. This one's going to give me 1 maybe. So my bees are up here, up this hill here, on the edge of a field, small field, on this farm where I keep them. And I'd say it's about 100 feet away. I'm going to say about 100 feet. I don't know. I'm not good with feet, but I'm saying about 100 feet. And this is my swarm box. It's basically a 6-frame nuke. You might be able to get 7 in there, but about a 6-frame deep nuke. And it's got I think it's a 1.5-inch hole right here. I've got a couple other holes in it, and I've got taped together top cover, and it's got some drone comb and just some old comb thrown in there. And this is basically how I catch bees. If there's a swarm in the area, the bees are going to be scouting around looking for a place to live, and they'll go, I know you think they're going to go up top in a big tree like this and it'll be a big racket and you got to put your swarm trap up in a tree, but this works too. Just if they're looking for a place to live, and they can't find a place like up in a tree, they'll take the place that's in a sheltered area with a bit of sun, 2 or 3 feet off the ground. It works. So whenever I leave this location, I check that box as I'm leaving, and just to make sure if there's any swarming going on. And so far it's done its job. I didn't catch any swarms this year, and I can tell that none of my colonies have swarmed. But I think it was last year I got a swarm in it, and it works perfectly. I didn't have to, put it up in a tree. Here I am in Flat Rock, in my Flat Rock bee yard, or what passes for a bee yard, and I'm going to add a medium super full of drawn comb. That's drawn comb, and this is some old drawn comb, but it's good enough. And this is drawn comb, and this is drawn comb. Oh, here's a better. This one will look better on the camera, and that's drawn comb. You see that? And if you don't know what drawn comb is, that's what it is. This frame began looking like this, which is basically a frame of plastic foundation in the middle, but that can be foundationless frame, or it can be a wax foundation, whatever you want. It's basically just a strip goes right down the middle of the frame that the bees build comb off of. And you can see a bit of comb that they've built right here, or they drew it out, as we say. And you can see here, here's the edge of the frame, and the bees will build generally the comb up to the edge of that frame. And you can see the drawn comb. This is the edge of the frame, and they've drawn it right up to the edge of the frame. And so this is basically comb that the bees can use for filling with honey, or what I usually concern myself with is the queen having space to lay eggs. And drawn comb is probably the most valuable thing most beekeepers have in their arsenal. It solves almost every problem you have in your bee yard. And so there you go. Anyway, this is a nuke that I started up. It was a big bonkers type of nuke. It didn't work out well, and the queen eventually mated. I got a queen that mated, but she's not super thick or crazy or really looking like a fantastic queen, but she's good enough. She's laying eggs, and it's September 2nd now, whatever it is, so there's really not much time left. So I'm going to give them this box of drawn comb. I'm going to put that on the bottom, actually, or well, I might pull up a few frames of brood up top, but generally I'm going to keep it on the bottom because I want them to stay warm up top. That's where the brood is right now. And hopefully that'll give the queen a little bit of extra room to lay because she's already pretty crowded in there. And they're filling it all up with nectar already, getting ready for winter. And so I'm going to give them this one extra box of comb, of drawn comb, and then I'm going to put another medium box on top of it from a colony that doesn't have a queen, and they're going to inherit a whole load of bees and a frame and a box full of honey probably. So hopefully that'll be 3 boxes, and hopefully that will keep them going. 3 boxes, 3 medium boxes is essentially 2 deeps. And hopefully that'll be enough for them to get through the winter. And then we'll just see how it goes. I might have to put another box on. I might have to feed them. Probably will have to feed them because they don't have a lot of honey, and these queens that's just where we are right now. It was a very, very late season nuke. And so here we go. Let's do it. Add some drawn comb. 22, it must be the time of year where all these earwigs are looking for a place to live, and they'll get into the cracks of anything with cracks that's kind of warm, which is a beehive is full of cracks and warmth. So all right, well, I goofed. This bottom board is I forgot that it's drilled to this super, because I had to transport this hive, and I figured it was just easier to drill the bottom board right on. And it doesn't have a bottom opening because it was a nuke, and I just wanted a small opening for them. So anyway, I tried to lift it up and put it on the top, but it's obviously drilled to the bottom, and I just don't want to fart around with that right now. So I left all the brood and everything down below, and I just put the empty super of drawn comb up top, and hopefully they'll be okay. But just to make sure that they don't get too cold, I'm going to put a little bit of some insulation on top of that inner cover. They don't need any extra ventilation, so they're good. It's not a massive hive that's breathing and creating a lot of condensation from their breath, so they'll be okay. So that's it. So now it looks like a proper little beehive. I'm gonna definitely put a feeder on this. That's just what I'm gonna do. I gotta play it safe. It's not a strong colony. I'm not sure about this queen. She just got mated. She doesn't look like a big fat juicy queen. She looks like she's doing okay, but she looks kind of thin. But sometimes the queens get bigger when they lay more, and she really hasn't had a chance to get laying. She's only a couple weeks old. So that's it. Beekeeping for today. Yeah, so they need more bees though. They definitely need more bees. I don't overwinter nukes. I just haven't gotten into that. So I want full colonies with big fat brood nests going into the winter, and I'm gonna do my best to make sure that's what they get. I would give them some protein patties or pollen patties, but I don't. I thought I had a bunch in the freezer, but I can't find them. So maybe I've gone through them all. So I'll just have to do without it. They've got a frame I put in a frame of drawn comb in there that's full of pollen. So hopefully that'll give them the pollen that they need, and they won't starve from lack of pollen. And this is my other nuki type of hive. The queen is recently mated, and I couldn't find her, and she's sort of laying, and it's a big iffy situation. I just can't tell if she's a good queen or not because she's only about a week old. And what else do I have to do? I need to put entrance reducers on all of these hives. I haven't had any robbing yet, and I've only had robbing once in the 11 years that I've been beekeeping. I haven't really had a problem with it, but yeah, I've heard about a lot of people having problems with robbing, and so I'm going to, I've got this one blocked up, but I'm probably going to put some reduction on those entrances. This is the second time I've seen clustering like this outdoors. They're clustering specifically right here in the middle. And then they're hanging off the bottom there. Almost like they're surrounding a queen, but they're not. There's no queen there. And I'm pretty sure I can just pick them up with my hand. Let's see. Yep. What's he up to? Bees crawling all over your hand is a funny feeling, though. Weird. Oh, what's going on? So they're not defensive or anything. I guess maybe it's just too hot in the hive. I don't know. But it's raining.